Hello, brothers and sisters. Well, like you, I'd prefer to not be making this podcast, but the Lord has it that we have more time, so while we are indeed disappointed, which, by the way, it's quite all right to be, I don't think the Lord is at all upset at those of us who are disappointed that we're not with Him and with fellow brothers and sisters in heaven altogether. It's quite all right to be disappointed. Just remember that His appointed time was set before the foundations of the earth, and it will happen, and it is coming. All of this is how the Lord has planned it. And I know I'm not telling you anything you don't know. If anything, I'm just reminding you to have faith in His timing. It will happen in His good time. And don't let those that are mocking the fact that the rapture didn't happen get to you right now, because I quite frankly, I do understand where they're coming from. For some unknown reason this year, there were a number of date setters out there, and then people saying they had confirmation from God that somehow they knew it was going to be on the 23rd. And quite frankly, I was very frustrated and rather upset with that, because it only serves Satan, and it's from Satan. It's not biblical. Now, that aside, there is something I have been wondering. What if we're both right? And what I mean by that is, what if both the people who do not believe that the rapture could happen over the Feast of Trumpets and the people who, like myself, do believe that the rapture will happen over a Feast of Trumpets, what if we're both right? Here's what I mean by that. So, we are celebrating the Feast of Trumpets on the Gregorian calendar. Well, that's not God's calendar. That's not the calendar that He gave to us. So we have no reason to assume that the dates of the feast that we celebrate right now line up with the actual dates of when the feasts take place. And if that's the case, then the rapture will happen on a Feast of Trumpets. It's just that we're not going to know exactly when that is, because we don't currently know when the real Feast of Trumpets will take place. So both those of us who hold to the rapture happening on the Feast of Trumpets and those who say, no, that's not what we're told, well, we're both going to be surprised. And to a degree, I would even say we're both kind of right in that, yes, it's going to happen on a Feast of Trumpets, but also we don't know when that's going to be. Now, true, that might be reaching on my part, and I do plan to look into this and to see if I can find out any information about this, and if I do, I'll bring it back to you and share it with you. Now, as we do have more time and more work to do, there is one thing that I want to look at in this podcast and talk to you about. And while we followed it and continue to follow it on our website, I haven't really had a chance to speak about this because, well, one, the Feast of Trumpets was about to take place, and two, I kind of wanted to see a little bit more of this play out to kind of have an idea of what was going to come out of this. And I think at this point, we do have a good idea of what's coming from this. And what I'm referring to is the assassination, the murder of Charlie Kirk. As I'm sure most of you already know, Charlie Kirk was an incredible warrior and evangelist for Jesus. He went into the hard places that people don't go to try and reach people for Jesus. They're trying to paint him as some political figure, which is completely incorrect, and they're doing that because they know that's a way to dismiss him. The truth is, what he was an evangelist for Jesus, and he knew, as well as we know, that politics is downstream of Jesus. You are going to govern your people based on the religion that you hold to in your heart, whether that religion is Satanism, atheism, or Jesus. And Charlie Kirk is indeed, without a doubt, a martyr for Jesus. And in the days that have passed, it seems to be something is developing from this. As you look at these demonically motivated and led people that I'll just refer to as the left, because that's really what we're dealing with. As you look at the left that's out there and what they are saying now, they are quite bold and just outright saying that, yes, not only is violence acceptable, but violence should be used. In fact, I've lined up a montage of different videos showing these different leftists talking about how it's time to start killing people. I even had a video that was posted on our website that showed teachers from a university that were sitting around in a secret meeting talking about how to further radicalize their students and techniques to push them into using violence to further the cause. I've decided to skip showing you that montage because, well, quite frankly, if you turn on your TV, if you turn on your phone, your computer, and you're on any form of social media, you see it well enough. So I have no doubt that you're well aware that the left is just out for blood at this point. They are seeking to use violence to get their way. And I think we're going to start seeing more and more shootings and terroristic activities from these demonic lunatics. There is, however, something different now, and that is that on the other side of the coin, just normal people all the way to conservative, all the way to Christian, the whole other side of the house is completely fed up with this. And I think as more and more of this continues, there's going to be more and more fighting back, if you will. There is a lot of concern out there that this is going to lead to a civil war. And it's not going to be a civil war like most people typically think of a civil war or even a war. There's not going to be any front lines or anything like that. In fact, it would probably unfold kind of like what we fairly recently saw in Syria. Things would intensify to the point that there's gun battles starting to break out in various places in the bigger cities. And that will intensify and increase. That will then spill over into the smaller cities, cities where you wouldn't think that you would see something like that happening. You probably will because, go out and look around you, whether you're in a big city, small city, or really even in a rural area. Chances are you're going to run into somebody with blue hair and an attitude. And those people are now going to come out and start shooting at you. And they're not going to be alone. At the same time, you're going to have all the BLM activists coming out looking to start trouble, to start riots, to start looting cities to get what they can get. So if you are a white person in a city where you're surrounded by probably a larger black population, there's a good chance you're going to see violence from them. So whatever the faction you're looking at, whether it's the trans activists, the BLM activists, the Antifa, they are all acting in concert to set up a situation where you can't walk out of your house with any reasonable expectation of making it home safely. And no matter whether you are in rural America, small town America, big city America, metropolis America, there is a 50-50 chance you're going to be in a fight for your life just to make it back home that day. That is indeed a modern-day civil war, and when you're in a situation like that, you're going to have all the things that come along with it. Martial law in various places, military involved, National Guard, and struggles over National Guard. I could see places like California trying to turn the National Guard against people because, well, as amazing as it seems and as scary as it seems, we have states like California, New York, Oregon. These states are controlled mostly by Antifa, and they will try to use the National Guard and any power at their disposal against America and Americans. In this sort of situation, it's not going to take long at all for the supply chain to completely collapse. And when that happens, it's going to be throwing gasoline on a fire. We have had several podcasts in the past talking about this very thing, and it looks like this day is now upon us. Now, to what degree and what intensity and how this will all play out, I can't tell you. But one thing I can tell you is this is happening for a reason, and it is leading to something bigger than even civil war. It's leading to something that Jesus told us was coming. We are told in many places in the Bible about the martyrdom that is coming. In fact, wormwood turns all the water to blood eventually because Jesus is giving those who kill all the saints blood to drink. It's a punishment for killing Christians. Now, whether what's going on right now leads to all-out civil war, or it doesn't rise above civil strife, when the rapture happens and the Holy Spirit is no longer restraining evil, this will turn into the outright murdering of those who turn to Christ after the rapture. And quite frankly, right now, those who belong to Christ are going to be martyred and murdered. Look at Charlie Kirk. We have already crossed a line that if you are saying stuff publicly that these people don't agree with, or if you just have the wrong skin color, you are just murdered. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's happening right now. And while right now, prior to the rapture, I'm talking about civil strife and possibly a civil war, that's not really where this is headed. What I think is really going on here is the beginning stages of the martyrdom that we are warned over and over and over about in the Bible. And what is so bizarre to me about all of this is these demonically led people, their mentality. They literally believe that we are all Nazis and we're all evil. It's as if they don't have any thought of their own. All thoughts have been programmed into them through education from kindergarten all the way up through university, and everything that they see on social media, and everything that they see on TV, and everything that they hear in music. People have been so thoroughly programmed that, just as the Bible said in these times, that evil is good and good is evil. And these people are the walking embodiment of this. In fact, we're given an extremely chilling picture of these people in John 16. You will be chased out of the synagogues, and the time will come when people will kill you and think that they are doing God a favor. That is exactly what is happening right now. That is exactly what is beginning right now. These people think they are doing good by killing you. Now here's the thing. This is happening right now, and it's going to intensify and continue to intensify. And after the rapture, there will be no guardrails on this sort of behavior. But make no mistake, it is beginning now. And we are all going to have to decide right here, right now, how we will behave, what we will do, what we will say. Because I think for most of us, the biggest potential downfall that we would have is not when the gun is pointed at us. I think if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably most likely more than willing to be a martyr for Christ. And you know what that'll mean for you. So I don't think the decision is really about that. I think the decision for us is really more about, does this cause us to speak up more? Or does this cause us to speak less? Do you surge forward? Do you stand still? Or do you cower? These are decisions you need to make right now. Each decision comes with consequences. And always remember that Jesus told us that if you deny Him before this wicked and adulterous generation, if you are ashamed of Him before this wicked generation, He will be ashamed of you before the Father. So it really all comes down to, what are you the most concerned about?